This lady is standing here laughing and humiliating me. She's not getting anywhere because I know who Jehovah is. Jehovah is nothing but one of the Demiurge. It's the Demiurge. Do you know where that word comes from? Demiurge. He's the fallen archon. He's one of the fallen archon angels.
Spiritually, the world that we live in is like a large, dirty city filled with violent criminals, wealthy mobsters, and prostitutes. Can you feel how depressed and dejected you are with those surroundings? How bleak and dark you feel about life? Trapped with no way out. But then someone shows you a highway out of that city, and you visualize escaping out of that city and into the country, your new home. So in 1919, Jehovah's people were shown a way out, a highway leading out to God's kingdom, a way out of the filth of Babylon's false doctrines. And since that time, they have continued to cleanse that highway and leave the filth of those false doctrines behind.
We must hide all of these treasures.
Yes, keep them hidden. What no one sees, no one knows. Agreed?
Come then, let us hide all of it.
Let's review. What were our three questions? What is the highway of holiness? It's Jehovah's opening the way for us to leave Babylon the Great's false doctrines and be protected along the way to the spiritual paradise in God's kingdom now and the literal paradise in the future. To the spiritual paradise in God's kingdom now and the literal paradise in the future.
I'm thinking, too, of some who were not able to be delegates at a convention. There's one sister in particular that I'm thinking of. That sister was told by the body of elders that unfortunately they would not be able to recommend her as a delegate because she has mobility issues and she has health problems. The sister said, "But I've saved all my money. I was ready to go." Then she paused and she said, "Do you know someone that I can give that money to so that she could be a delegate to a foreign convention?" When I heard that, I thought, Jehovah has so many wonderful people serving him today, obedient, ready to obey. We just love people like that. It has been said that anxiety is like static on the radio that disrupts a beautiful tune. It can ruin any beautiful melody. But really, what does anxiety accomplish? Instead of worrying, some positive action on your part may produce good results. If you committed a sin, you can avoid whatever led up to the wrong act. And again, you may simply have to live through some situations of life. But worry is nothing but a form of paralysis that can leave one unable to serve God fully. And there is no reward for worry. First of all, we want to thank all those who have had a share on this wonderful program, whether it was in talks, demonstrations, the drama, interviews, soliloquies, whatever they did. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for taking this so seriously.
actually right in some way, because did you know that Jehovah has got full worship? Did you know? It's actually true. You do worship Jehovah, and he does have his underground bases, and he does have the Bethel with the secret Illuminati that conjure him up. Did you know? They have conjurers. They conjure him up through satanic rituals. Because there's a lady who confessed. I always thought there was something wrong with your mentality. You're cold, you're callous, just by your whole attitude.
Now, one way that we can store up treasures in heaven is by giving of ourselves in Kingdom Hall construction and by contributing to the worldwide work. Brothers, we have an enormous job ahead of us in this country to build Kingdom Halls.
What you're claiming is that watchtower officials would meet and they would have you there with them, and they would bring you in some type of a room or out in the woods, as you say, and
yes.
They would you were actually some type of a conduit for the demons. Is that correct?
Yes. What it would be called today would be a channeler. The more informal gatherings, the ones out in the woods behind my house, or the ones after an elders meeting, in the back room at the Kingdom Hall, those instances happen once a week, once every 2 weeks. But about once a month, I was taken to Brooklyn Bethel, and that's where the more formal ceremonies took place. There are tunnels under the buildings in Brooklyn, but in these tunnels there are locked doors, and behind the locked doors there are rooms and smaller tunnels. It was in these rooms where we would go and have the more formal ceremonies. I would be taken into the room, 8, 10, 12 men, also in dark robes, in a half circle around the front of the altar. There would be someone with a censer smoking up the area. A lot of smoke. I can remember the way the smoke smelled. It was like burning plastic. I would sit in the chair with all the smoke and all the incense, and then it would seem as if Demon was standing behind me where the altar was, and he would put his hand on my shoulder, and I would feel it go through my arm, and somebody would hand me a notebook. The notebooks were just the regular composition, black and white modeled notebooks, but the pen was usually a feathered pen, and I remember it because I used to think they were really pretty and I wanted to take one home. They were dark, maybe black, maybe red, a burgundy color. Could have been purple, I don't know, but it was a dark color that the pens were. The candles were also dark. I would start writing. I would write and write and write, and when my right hand got tired, the demon would put his hand on my other shoulder, and I would switch hands and start writing with my left hand. I would write fast. I would write so fast that sometimes I would just go right off the page. I would write things that I didn't know what I was writing. I didn't know the words that I was writing, but they were words. And the notebooks were collected, and they were kept in Randy's office. And most of my childhood, when I got a little older, where I could read the words and I understood what I was doing, most of what I was working on was Daniel, the book of Daniel, and it was specifically, most of my childhood was on Daniel chapters 11 and 12.